Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, Alexander Duncan, he used to live in California, ran off to Texas. He's LARPing as a cowboy. And, you know, a coastal person who's now gonna go to Texas and act like he's been some type of die-hard country bag boy for his entire life. But in reality, he's just trying to jump on the bandwagon of the anti-Islam rhetoric. Now, as we know, there are Muslims in Texas, and people have to be wise and realize that if someone is openly saying they're going to persecute your religion, they're not fit for office. Because traditionally, these representatives are to serve the tax people, right? Serve the citizens, everyone. Even if you're poor and don't have a bunch of acres of land, you still have to be represented by your leader who's supposed to fix roads, make sure that crime's going down, make sure things logistically are working out, make everything better for all. When you have a politician who says he's a Christian and then he's stating he's going to target one specific religion and call for death of them, he's not fit to rule anything. Because at this moment, what is he saying? He's going to cause civil war. He's going to cause civil strife in Texas. Now ask yourself, even if you're the most crusading, wannabe, Christian person, whatever. Okay, you're a diehard Christian, right? You don't like us Muslims. I'd ask you this. Do you want your local economy ruined? Do you want to see a pregnant Muslim hijabi walking down the street and then a Christian guy just attack her? Is that what you want? Do you want to see just some old grandma on the bus with her little bag of groceries being harassed by a young Christian woman who's filled with hatred? Do you want to have little girls on their way to school with their bikes targeted by Christian boys? I hope the answer would be no. Okay? Because that is what Alexander Duncan is calling for. How? When you say eradicated, that denotes violence, it's a threat, it's a call to threat. And if a Muslim was to say this about someone on the right who was close to Charlie Kirk, the right wing would be calling the FBI. They'd be saying, hey FBI, look into so-and-so, libs of TikTok, that Zio-genocidal maniac, tags the FBI constantly over people dressing up as Charlie Kirk for Halloween or whatever. She is constantly bothering them for anything and everything and spamming them, quite honestly. So the right wing will dox and mass flag people who say things like, oh, someone should have got the Charlie Kirk treatment. And they're like, hey, obviously that's insightful rhetoric. And yet, we see right-wingers like Alexander Duncan, who's trying to be in the alt-right, but he's a neoconservative, quite clearly, who's not about that life. And he's not going to sway any of the groypers who are growing to be on his side by dunking on Islam. A lot of these Republicans know, well, we got to attack Islam if we want votes. I really hope that a lot of Republican voters see through this. And Texas has a lot of problems already. I've covered them extensively, and I will continue to do that because your leaders need to focus on problems. Now, you can be a Christian bigot and be like, I hate those hijabs, and I don't like those men praying 5 times a day. But does a Muslim praying affect your taxes? Does it, fix traffic lights, potholes in the street? Does it get fentanyl off your streets? No. Your politician needs to be focusing on making things harmonious, calm, effective, and keep the economy afloat. Texas is facing quite a lot of problems, from pollution to housing, the cost of college, you name it. And what is Alexander Duncan posting about the most? Muslims. And the fact that he's on a public platform saying that Muslims need to be eradicated and calling for the persecution of Muslims, even though the First Amendment allows us to have our religion, then we realize these people don't even read the Constitution. They don't care about what the founding fathers said. They cherry pick, and it's like a costume. He's wearing a costume right now, okay? And it's fascinating. If you're white and wear a cowboy hat and call yourself a Christian, some people see themselves as John Wayne, that they're going to somehow save America. Focus on things that are making women not want to have children. Focus on helping mothers afford childcare. Focus on helping people to be able to afford groceries. There's lots of companies doing layoffs right now. So make it life easier for your constituents. You're there to make things better. You're not there to stir up problems. Because Texas has full prisons, already has gang problems. So why doesn't he focus on getting street crime taken care of? Why is he just trying to attack Muslims going about their day? Why is he scapegoating Muslims? Now, you have to understand that Islam is against gambling, high interest loans, right? Riba, high interest rates, interest in general. There's so much that we have good going on. Is he looking at that? No. See, he's trying to pour gasoline on the flames of hate. He's not trying to cool things off so that the economy can flourish. Because trade is important. Working is important. Keeping everything going smoothly is essential. Is he repairing railroads or doing anything like that? No. He thinks, well, you gotta be like these loudmouth Laura Loomer and Valentina Gomez and Coach Tommy Tuberville and all these other morons and Randy Fine, and you have to just go after Muslims, and then these hateful, spiteful Christians will open up their wallets for you. You know, if the only way you can get motivated to vote for someone is based off of who they hate, you're more motivated by what you hate than what you love. You know, he could say, hey, I want to make it possible for more Christians to get scholarships or something. He could do something specific in a positive way for his Christian community. Instead, though, he's encouraging violence, hatred, malice towards fellow Texans. There are people who were born in Texas of many different nationalities who are reverts to Islam or freshly arrived immigrants. He doesn't care. He just wants there to be more vitriol against them. And this shows that he's not fit to rule because he's as emotional as a woman who has taken too many Valiums, right? She's up and down, she's got her glasses to the side, a cigarette almost falling out of her hand as her shirt's sagging, and she's bitching at you from the porch like, you know, you ain't this, and you need to be taken care of. Like, just that cliche Karen from the suburbs who is just tipsy by 10 a.m. That's how he's coming off. That just very feminine energy. Why? Because a leader solves problems, and you could say, oh, well, Islam is the problem. I want to see a real video, unedited though, a live stream. Someone just going out to people and say, what are your main concerns as a Texan? And I want to see how many say Islam. I would bet, well, betting is haram, but it's a figure of speech. People being like, you know what, my property taxes are just too high, or you know what, I'm going to have to sell my farm because I can't afford it. You know, these tariffs, no one's buying my soybeans or whatever, and I can't handle this. Or, hey man, my factory's getting outsourced. So you would notice if someone did that the propaganda that these paid shills are doing isn't real. And that should make a Christian feel like, am I an idiot? Am I just so filled with hate towards Muslims that I'll open my wallet and support for someone who just throws me that bone? And once you open up the door to target one religion, the atheists will gladly pick it up for Christians. And I hope, truly hope, that the Christians realize that, because the Alex Jones types have been screaming about that for years. And Yet you see Christians here saying, yeah, let's get rid of religious protection. Let's open up the door for religious persecution, and let's do that. It's not a good way to be, because the slippery slope fallacy does reign true in many regards. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Alexander Duncan is a fool.